Now in its 9th season, it's Prodigy Bowlers Tour, celebrating junior bowling and elevating junior bowlers. Today, episode 175, the 2024 Kansas City Open October Point Tournament. 5 players have qualified for the stepladder finals today, but only one can leave as the Division III champion. Here are the finalists. Qualifying 5th is Davis Christensen of Lee Summit, Missouri. He'll meet the number 4 qualifier, Luke Gramling of Olathe, Kansas. The winner of that match will face the 3rd place qualifier, Ellie Blyenberg, who's bowling in her home house today. That winner will bowl our 2 seed, Jacob Smith of Tonganoxie, Kansas. And that winner will bowl for the championship against Liliana Gentlemark of Kansas City, Missouri. She's our tournament leader. One of these 5 young athletes will be crowned the KCO champion in Division III today and will sign the neon yellow coveted trophy pin on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. From where we were last month in Olathe, Kansas, you have to drive pretty much to the other side of the Kansas City Metro, across the state line, up north of the Missouri River, to Gladstone, Missouri, to find your way to Gladstone Bowl, where the 2024 Kansas City Open October Point Tournament is being held today. And for the first time that I can recall us featuring one of the handicap divisions at the KCO, all but one of the kids you'll see today have been on Prodigy before. Only our 5 seed, Davis Christensen, is making his first appearance. As most Prodigy viewers know by now, the KCO holds a tournament on the first Sunday of the month, with competition in 5 average-based divisions. You'll see the Division I stepladder on our next episode. But today we're bringing you the stepladder finals in Division III, the division with bowlers whose averages fall between 160 and 179. Handicap is 90% of the difference between their entering average and the top of the division, which in this case is 179. Everyone in all 5 divisions throws 6 games of qualifying, 3 in the morning, 3 in the afternoon, with A squad going off first, followed by B squad, and then A squad returns and B squad follows to wrap up the qualifying round. Then they cut to the top 5 for the championship round stepladder finals. Here's how qualifying went down in Division III. Following the morning block, Jacob Smith led the way with a solid 667 series. Liliana Gentlemark was close behind. A couple of members of the Bowling Coleman family of Excelsior Springs were represented in the top 6, with Grace Coleman in 3rd and her sister Bailey in 6th. Jade Fleming and Maya Nathan made an early bid to get into the stepladder, while Ellie Blyenberg and Luke Gramling were both on the outside looking in, but were lurking near the cut line in the top 10. Davis Christensen had some ground to make up as he stood in 14th place, well back of the projected cut line. But then in the afternoon block, a huge shakeup that seemed to affect most of the field. Players who got off to a strong start in the morning struggled in the afternoon, while several players who were slow to get started in the morning made a nice recovery in the afternoon. Among those who benefited from the shakeup was Davis Christensen, who vaulted up the leaderboard from 14th to 5th to get into the stepladder. Ellie Blyenberg and Luke Gramling each fired a 600-plus series to move up the leaderboard and into the top 5. But other players didn't fare so well. Grace Coleman, Jade Fleming, and Maya Nathan were in the top 5 in the morning block, but all 3 of them fell back in the afternoon and missed the cut. Other players in the field whose names you may recognize include Caston Meyer, who finished 9th. Caston, as you may recall, won the handicap division at the 2024 Prodigy TOC. Eighth place finisher Hadley Keeler, whose twin sister Anna made the show once in Leavenworth. And Curtis Jones, a winner on Prodigy last season, got off to a fast start, but had a rough go of it in the afternoon. He finished 22nd. So there you have it. These 5 players will be competing in our championship round stepladder, where you win a match and advance, and then you keep advancing as long as you keep winning. So it's time to get this party started. In our opening match, it's the number 5 qualifier, Davis Christensen, making his first appearance on Prodigy today, bowling against our 4 seed, Luke Gramling of Olathe. I should mention that in the audience alongside his parents, Luke has his good luck charm, his Aunt Nicole. You may recall seeing her on Prodigy when she lit it up in December 2022, when she and Luke ran the stepladder to win the KCO Adult Youth Doubles Tournament. And I know Luke would love nothing more than to do it again. But standing in his way is this first-timer on Prodigy, Davis Christensen of Lee Summit. And it looked to me like Davis may have pulled that one a little left of his intended launch angle, as it kind of stayed in the oil the whole way down the lane, hydroplaning, and he nearly left the 5-7 split, but broke it up and has just the 7 pin. He'll go cross lane at it. And oh no, hooks by it. So an open frame to start for Davis. And you see we've added his 8 pins of handicap into his score right in the first frame. So he has 17 in the first. Now Luke. Plants one right in the pocket. And that's the way you like to start. Take another look at that first shot of the day. 5-step approach by Luke. Swing about shoulder high. He falls off to the right at the end. I'd love to see him correct that, but man, oh man, can't argue with the results on that first shot. Well, now that was a shot that looked rather similar to the one that Davis threw. Pulled it left of his intended target, so it kind of stayed in the oil and never really found friction until the back end of the lane, and by that time it was too late to drive through with much of an entry angle. Breaks up the split, leaves just the 5. And makes it with no problem at all. So an uneventful first couple of frames for Luke Gramling. Strike spare. That would give him 20 in the first, but you see we've added his 11 pins of handicap into his score, so the handicap is all accounted for in both players' scores. Yikes. Davis pulled another one, and this time not so fortunate as in the first frame, and he leaves the 4-7-9. Here's how you make it. Put the ball over on the 7 pin, just graze the 4 pin, slide it into the 9. Oh, and he makes a bold run at it, but leaves 2, and that's an open start to his match, and he's dug himself a hole from the get-go, trailing by 26 after just 2 frames. Davis with a most unusual thing we hardly ever see these days, a 3-step approach. Oh, look at that. He had the 4-7-10 staring at him there for a moment, and he trips them all out. Watch this. 1, 2, 3 steps. He plants. He doesn't slide. And it comes in a little high, but he trips out the 4-7-10. Thank you very much. All right, Luke working on a spare. And rips the 5 over into the 7, but just goes in front of the 7. We call this the swishin' 7. Pretty easy spare. Once again, he'll go cross lane at this. Luke is 15 years old. Davis is 17. And Luke has been bowling since he was 4. His mom and dad both bowl. Kind of a bowling-crazed family, if you want to know the truth. They're all really into it. Good for them. And Luke covers the 7-pin. No muss, no fuss. Gotta love it. So he will move back over to the left lane. The action you see on our left on lanes 19 and 20, that's Division 4. And the kids bowling on the end pair to our right, 23 and 24, that's Division 5. And we will tell you how their step ladders played out when we get to the end of the show. Luke crossing over with that first toss in the 4th frame and got a little lucky leaving just the 5-pin. The easiest spare on the rack. And he makes short work of it. So Luke with a 24-pin advantage, thanks in large part to those 2 open frames that Davis got. Could have been a little bit of nerves his first time bowling in front of an audience of thousands. Goes through the nose this time, leaves the 3-6-10. Tricky little cluster. Davis just started bowling in high school. His high school bowling team was of interest. He joined, and that was the beginning for him of his bowling journey. They taught him how to make the 3-6-10, apparently. High school bowling on the Missouri side of the state line here in the Kansas City metro area is a club activity, meaning that it's a little more informal, whereas over on the Kansas side, high school bowling is a full-fledged varsity sport, and so you have a lot of restrictions for the kids that can't bowl in tournaments or leagues during the high school season. Davis with a 4-pin here in the 5th. He could use a little string of strikes. I can tell you from having watched Luke Gramling bowl on Prodigy a couple of times in the past, he is not quick to give opens away. There's a spare for Davis. But I think he's going to need some strikes to get back in this match. Ooh, a pinch high, but he gets the trip 4. So Luke puts a strike up in the 5th. Take another look at that toss. Watch the 2-pin. That's the 3rd one from the left. Ball's going to hit a little high in the pocket. The 2-pin's going to go to the left wall and slip between the 4 and 7 and gets them both to go out. Going for a double. Well, he pulled that one right into the nose, and now he'll get to see what he can do with the 3-6-10. Davis made it in the 4th frame. Now Luke will get his chance. I'm going to put the ball right on the 3 and 6. Just like that. Beautifully done. Well, Davis says that his best moment in bowling is when he bowled in the Missouri State High School tournament with the Blue Springs South team. Pretty good ball there. Just deflected a little bit when it hit the 1-3 pocket. And leaves what we call the weak 10, where the 6 pin just falls in the gutter and doesn't have the energy or impetus to kick out the corner pin. But he makes it easily. So he keeps himself within 26 of Luke. Well, that was much better off his hand. And a strong strike comes in light, gets the shaker to go. Here's Davis's unusual footwork, just 3 steps. So he came right up the back of the ball that time. That gives you maximum leverage, and the pins scatter. Oh my goodness. Well, Luke fell off balance that time when he let it go. And when that happens, you lose accuracy. He pulled that one way left of his intended line. And it's going to catch the 1-2. And the head pin spins and falls back into the 5 and 9. Looks like a solid strike on the score sheet. Better shot. Oh, man. How did that not go? A stone 7. Sometimes you just throw it a little too good. But he makes it. So now Davis with an opportunity to cut into Luke's lead, working on a strike. If he can strike here in the 8th, he'll cut Luke's lead to 16. And if he can get another strike in the 9th, 3 in a row, it would cut it to 6. But instead, he comes in light and leaves himself a treacherous little spare, the 2-8. Anytime you have a sleeper, that's a pin hiding in the back behind the one in front. You got to hit it either square on the face of the front pin, or if you're throwing a hook, he would be throwing a hook from the right. He can hit the right side of the 2 pin, just like that, and it'll drive through. That's well done, but he really needed a strike there as he's running out of frames to catch Luke. Luke clean through 8 frames, and that's the difference in the match right now. Davis with those 2 opens to start. Davis didn't bowl an individual bowling tournament until the spring of this year, so he's still a newbie. Well, comes in a little thin there, and unfortunately, since he was working on a spare, he's going to lose 4 more pins in count. So he now trails by 30 and faces a spare that, well, there's all kinds of ways you can miss this. Put the ball on the 2-5, and he gets it. Excellent. But you can see on his face that he's frustrated by the fact that the strikes are few and far between. Well, Luke kind of gave that one a little extra help. As he got to the release point, he kind of pulled it left and has left a tricky spare of his own, the 3-5-6, one you rarely see right-handers leave. And he missed it, so that's going to bring the match a little closer heading into the 10th frame, and now Luke is going to need to fill 15 in the 10th. So he must mark and then get 5 to fill. Oh, man. Getting a break on a Brooklyn hit. It'll make his job a lot easier because now with a strike in the 10th, he can use 2 shots to get those other 5 pins he needs. This is a huge break here. If he had left that 10 pin, well, he first would have had to make that and then get 5. But now he's got 2 shots to get 5. And he only needs 1. So with that clutch double in the 10th, Luke has punched his ticket to match 2. This is his best shot of the match right here. Right over the second arrow. Hooks right into the pocket and slams them all into the pit. Strike for 205. Well, it's high. He leaves a couple, so it's a 203 for Luke Gramling. Enough to move on. And now Davis will finish out. Oh, how about that little trip 4? We know, Davis, it just wasn't quite there for you this match. You see the ball is below his head, even a little left of that. That's good, pretty close to his ankle. Big gap between his elbow and his body, though. That's where some of the problem is. And you see the slide foot or plant foot pointing off to the right. We'd rather see that a little more forward facing. His spine angle way forward and very little knee bend. Would like to see him get low with more knee bend and less spine tilt. Sit down into the shot a little bit. But he'll learn. Spare here will give him 179 to finish. Not the game he had hoped to bowl, I know. But after a rough couple of frames to start, he's going to finish with 8 marks in a row. I've seen worse out of a first appearance on Prodigy. But it's Luke Gramling who is moving on to match 2. He'll face the 3 seed, Ellie Blyenberg, when we return. While I know Davis Christensen was disappointed with the results of that opening match, I think you'd have to call his performance credible for a first-time appearance on Prodigy. Maybe a little nerves in that opening frame when he whiffed the 7-pin, but then, after an unfortunate split in the second, Davis was clean the rest of the way. He was just unable to string any strikes to get back in the match. Even Luke had that one open in the 9th when he missed the 3-5-6. But a double in the 10th made the final score more lopsided than perhaps the game really was. Still, it was an excellent showing for Luke, whose 3-pin handicap differential really never came into play. So it's Luke Gramling who takes match 1 and now moves on to match 2, where he'll face our number 3 qualifier, Ellie Blyenberg. Ellie admitted being very nervous the first time she bowled in front of the Prodigy cameras. I said then that she'll be much more calm the next time she made the show, and I fully expect her to be unfazed by the situation. Meanwhile, it seems like all Luke ever does on Prodigy is win, and all he wants to do now is keep on keeping on. Ellie, being the higher qualifier, had the option, and she's going to have Luke lead off. A high hit leaves the 4-pin. Luke is 15 years old. He'll turn 16 in March. Ellie, his opponent, is the youngest player in our stepladder field today. She is 13 and doesn't turn 14 until summer next August. Luke takes care of the 4-pin. And now we get our first look of the day at Ellie Blyenberg. This is her second appearance on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. She was on the March Point Tournament back in the spring. She finished 4th. She was the 3 seed that day and was one of the victims of Bella Gonzalez, who ran the stepladder that day. But Ellie is back to make amends for that. She admitted she was scared to death that day. But she doesn't look scared today. She looks like she's ready to go. Good balance. Nice roll right up the 10th board. And that's 10 in the pit right there. Carefully setting her feet. Over the 3rd arrow. That one out to about 9. May have gotten a little wider than she would have liked. But that's okay. The 10-pin. You see, there's just a 6-pin handicap differential. Luke basically spotting Ellie's 6 pins. And she covers the 10 like a champ. And as we always do in these handicap matches, we've added Ellie's 17 pins of handicap into her score. So a strike spare would be 20 plus 17. That gives her 37. Oh, how about that little blower? And we see the ACO board member, Brent Whitesell, stepping in to correct the score. Took the 7-pin a little while to go out. And so the scoring system gave him 9, but no, he got all 10. He got it in slow motion, but he got it. He pulled that one a little bit, but it set in the oil just right. And now Luke has a double. And with that double, he takes a 4-pin lead over Ellie. Ellie's high game, a 235. Her best series, a 600. And it looks like she likes that right lane. 2 solid strikes over there. Watch her deliver that ball once again. Once again, good balance. Smooth. She is well practiced. That one is a little wide. Oh, but it got back, and she nearly carried a strike. She leaves what I call the soft 8, or the weak 8. Here, we'll get a better look at it. The 5 pin, the one behind the head pin, you see it there to the left of the ball. It's going to go in front of the 8. When you see the stone 8, the 5 goes straight back, chops it right off the 8. But the good news is it's an easy spare. And Ellie takes care of it. So we've got a good match going here. Just 4 pins separating them. Luke, working on a double, can extend his lead to 14 with another one here. Oh! That is twice he has thrown the ball perfectly and been rewarded with a stone 7. That doesn't seem right. Well, Luke says he got started bowling by his grandpa Dave. And so Dave, wherever you are, we thank you for giving us this gift, getting to watch Luke bowl. Luke has 3 KCO victories to his credit. Of course, you saw him win 2 of them on Prodigy, the December 2022 Adult Youth Doubles Tournament in December. And then he also won in May a singles tournament on Prodigy at the KCO when he was the top seed. That doubles event, he and his Aunt Nicole ran the stepladder. They just ran over everybody en route to the title that day. And Luke and his Aunt Nicole won another adult youth doubles tournament last spring. It wasn't on Prodigy. He was bowling in another division than the one we were covering that day. But he has grown accustomed to finding his way to the winner's circle. So I would say look out for Luke Gramling today. Covers the spare easily, and now he moves over to the left lane. See if he can get another little string of strikes going. Pulled it. That's no good. A 4, 6, 9, 10. A virtually impossible split. It hands Ellie a 1-pin lead, but worse, there's not a lot you can do with this. Luke will just go for the 3. That's the proper play. You could try to pull an Antonio Miranda and slide that 4-pin over into the 6, but if you did, it would probably slide in front of the 9 and miss it. So that's just a tough break. An open frame extends Ellie's lead to 12. And now she's up on her good lane. And she puts another one in the pocket there, but this time the 10 refuses to go. Ellie with a couple of tournament wins to her credit. She's won a KCO before. She also won the Omaha, Nebraska Youth Open among the U15 girls. Pretty prestigious tournament, that. Oh, but she hooks by the 10 pin for an open frame, and now her lead is gone. This match is all even as we reach the halfway point. Nine and a wiggle is all you're going to get. But it's an easy spare, the 3 pin. I wouldn't expect she would have any trouble making this. And she doesn't. And now Luke will try to shake off that split that he just faced. And we'll get back up on the horse. Oh my. Another one that creeps high, and this time another split, the 4-7-9. We saw Davis Christensen leave this in his match, and he almost made it. Here's how you do it. Put the ball over on the left side of the 4. Just graze it enough to slide it over into the 9. This one can be made. But he gets too much of the 4 pin, so that's back-to-back opens for Luke. And now he will have to make some kind of adjustment on both lanes. Move his feet a board or two to the left, maybe move his eyes at the arrows a board left. Oh, he pulled that one. Lucky he didn't leave a split there. But it's just the 7 pin, so he ought to be able to handle this one. Easy peasy. But now, once again, Ellie gets up on the lane that she's had nothing but pocket hits. 2 of them were strikes. 1 of them was a 10 pin. She'd love to take her chances in that 1-3 area again here. Just like that. She's got that right lane measured. I think she'd like to finish on it, but instead she's going to finish on the left lane. Take another look at Ellie's game. 4-step approach. At the bottom of the swing, the ball isn't under her head, it's to the right. We'd rather it be under the head rather than to the outside like that. A little gap between the ball and her ankle. You see her fingers are way up on top of the ball, above the equator. We'd like to see her hand more behind the ball and fingers a little below the equator if possible. But guess what? You bury one in the pocket like that, chances are the pins are going to fall. She'd love to get a double here. Oh, and she gets a blower to go. Very impressive. Let's take a look at her footwork. There it is. Starting on the right foot, that is a 4-step approach. Nice slide. Foot perpendicular to the foul line, just like you like to see it on a down and in player like that. And she blows the 5. Wow. Luke with his back to the wall. Goes through the nose, leaves the 3. Lucky he didn't leave the 3-10. And now he's thinking about it. That's 3 hits in the last 4 frames that have gone high. He is definitely going to need to make an adjustment. Good cover of the 3-pin. Luke finished 10th last month at the KCO when we were in Olathe. He was in Division 4 at the time. Bowled well enough to get rated up into Division 3. Oh, and he pulled it. It set, and he tripped the 4. And that is a huge strike in the ninth. Take a side-by-side look at the two of them and compare their games. Luke, a little longer approach. We've synced him up at the release point so you can tell who's throwing with more speed. I think Luke's ball is going to get down there a little quicker than Ellie's. But they're both getting good results. Oh, I didn't think that one was getting back, but she finds the pocket once again. And now that pesky 10-pin. She missed it in the 5th frame. Boy, you miss one of those and it just starts to rattle around in your brain. Oh, look out. Well, when she missed the 10-pin in the 5th frame, she pulled it left. She made sure she didn't pull it again, but a little overcorrection, and that one finds the moat. It's an open frame, and her lead is down to just 9 pins. Comes up a little high, leaves the 4-7. This one a pretty easy spare for a right-hander. She stands on the right side of the lane, will go straight at it. Oh no! She actually hooked past the 4 and chops it. And she squanders her lead. So Luke takes a 2-pin lead into the 10th frame, but he's going to need to fill 19. He needs at least a spare and 9 to win. Boom! That is huge. Getting a strike on the first ball in the 10th makes his job a whole lot easier. If he had spared in the 10th, he would have had the pressure of needing 9 pins on his fill ball to win. But after making this strike on the first ball in the 10th, he will have 2 shots to get 9 pins. And he only needed 1. How about that? Luke Gramling has just won his 2nd match of the day and will be moving on. Watch this. A little off balance at the line. We'll work with him on that, but you put the ball there, they're going down. This one is academic. He gets 9. That's a 212 to 191 victory over Ellie Blyenberg, who bowled her heart out. But it's Luke Gramling who's moving on to match 3. His next opponent, the Tonganoxie Twister, Jacob Smith. When Ellie Blyenberg watches this, she's going to see a golden opportunity slip through her fingers. She had Luke on the ropes and a win within her grasp. But 2 open frames to close out the match, a missed 10-pin and a chopped 4-7, opened the door for Luke. And he put up a pair of clutch strikes in the 10th to steal victory from the jaws of defeat. It just goes to reinforce what every bowling coach in the world harps on until we're blue in the face. Strikes may be fun to get, but most matches are won and lost with spares. So it's Luke Gramling who's won his second match of the day and now moves on to challenge our 2 seed, Jacob Smith. If the outcome of bowling tournaments rode solely on each player's enthusiasm and want to, no one would be able to challenge Jacob Smith. This guy is as into it as any kid I know. And if there was a Hall of Fame for Prodigy superfans, Jacob Smith's portrait would be hanging on the wall. I have no doubt he'll come out firing. Jacob being the higher of the 2 qualifiers. He has the option, so he is elected to lead off. He wants to finish last so that he'll know what he needs. How about that one to start? Little light shaker action, wall shot. Think he liked it. 5-step approach, 2-hander. Hand right up the back of the ball like you like to see it. Bingo. All right, Luke, you may have your hands full this match. Pretty good commercial shot. Just doesn't quite have the rev rate to snap out those corner pins. As he grows and gets a little bigger and stronger, he'll get that hand behind the ball more. Oh boy, that is not the way he wanted to start this match. Whiffing the 10-pin in the moat. That's 9 out in the first frame, added to his 11 pins of handicap. That's how we arrive at 20 for his score in the first. Add the handicap in right at the beginning, so you don't have to keep track of it. Better shot, nearly blew the rack, but still has the 7. 7-pin tends to be a somewhat easier spare than the 10 for right-handers. Just because it's next to the gutter doesn't necessarily make it difficult. And he gets it. But he surrendered the lead to Jacob in the first frame. And I know Jacob has got to be licking his chops right about now. Takes a big, deep breath. Pretty excited. Timber! Oh, he did like that one. He knows he got away with one there. That was a little too wide. Watch this. Watch the head pin go to the left wall. It's going to come back. It gets the 2 on the way there. Gets out the 4 and 7. And the 4 takes out the 8 eventually. He's got magic in his fingers. Well, he got around that one a little bit. Previous shots he'd thrown, his hand stayed more behind the ball. He got around that one, so it never got into a good roll on the back end to drive through and get the 5. And here's the 5-7, and how you make it. Put the ball on the right edge of the 5-pin, slide it over. Move your feet about 3 boards left. Throw it over your strike target. You should make the 5-7. Well, he gets a little too much of the 5-pin that time, so Jacob gives back some of that lead. And now Luke within a mark, just 5 pins behind. And he does exactly what he needed to do, and that is jump right on that open that Jacob gave him. And now with another strike in the fourth, he can take the lead. Here's where Luke could use a little help. See, the ball is not right under his head. It's a little to the right of that, which leaves a gap between the ball and his ankle and between his elbow and his torso. Tighten that up, and he'll correct the other problems. The foot is nice and perpendicular to the foul line, like we like to see it. But he gets a good result on that shot. But if he could get that ball a little closer to his side, he'd increase his leverage. Oh, and he would get more of these kind of strikes. Those half-pocket hits that rip the five over onto the left side of the rack. He had enough power on that one, though. See it again. I think we'll get a look at his reaction this time. He's anxiously hoping. Will it carry? Yes. He loved that one. All right, Jacob. That open proved costly. But he bounces right back with a strong strike in the fourth. He's an excitable boy, I tell you what. Very likable kid. Take a closer look at Jacob's game. In the backswing, see how he keeps that elbow close to his body? But at the bottom of the swing, he's actually got the ball a little outside of his head, which is surprising to me. But I think that's because he doesn't get the same spine tilt to the right that most players do. I think he gets plenty on the ball most of the time. Got around that one again, and it overhooks, and look at this. He gets a couple of wobblers, but the 310 remain. If he will keep that elbow in close, he won't get around it so much and won't be leaving stuff like this. The 310, put the ball on the right side of the 3 and it'll deflect over into the 10. He's playing it correctly from the left side of the lane. Oh, but he just missed the 3. Well, on every spare, you got to hit the pin in front. And he just missed it that time. But that's 2 opens in a row on the left lane for Jacob. He's going to have nightmares about lane 21. Luke, a light hit. Almost got the wall shot to go, but the 7 remains, so he'll have another crack at that. But those 2 gifts that Jacob gave to him, those 2 opens in the 3rd and 5th, benefiting Luke Gramling right now. Get up. It did. No problemo. Luke's high game, a 255. His high series, a 613. I think I mentioned earlier that he started bowling at the age of 4. He got into the youth leagues at the age of 5, so he'd been bowling almost his whole life. Now that one hooked a little bit at the end and goes through the nose, and he was lucky to break up the split. But just the 610. Got to be careful with this one. Plus, he's missed a couple of right side spares. No problem with that one, though. But now, Jacob Smith up on lane 22. He's struck on it both times he's been up on the right lane. He'd love to get another one here and start a little string of strikes. Oh! Man, that one snapped a little more than he expected on the back end. It didn't look bad off his hand. Watch his reaction to it. Not his best throw here. It's going to hook Brooklyn. And he backdoors the 6-pin with a little trippy action. And he lets everybody know he loved it. But boy, a strike here in the 7th would be big. Well, that one would have cut Luke's lead down to just 4, but instead, Jacob is going to have the 10-pin. You don't want 3 opens in a row on the left lane. Watching Annalise Keeler whiff the 10-pin on the lane to his left is not going to plant a positive picture. But Jacob doesn't let it bother him. He makes the 10. Now he will sit and watch Luke in the 7th frame, nursing a 14-pin lead. And there's another solid strike for Luke, and that's got to make Jacob squirm just a little bit in his seat. That was right in the pocket. Not much doubt there. Another one? How about it? Luke with a ripper. See his footwork, 5-step approach. See that foot perpendicular to the foul line. If you're a down and in player, that is the way to do it. Excellent shot. Well, Jacob trailing by 24 now with just 3 frames to go. It's showtime. And the wall shot does not get the 7, and you see some frustration. Ordinarily, the 7-pin would be a pretty easy conversion, as he just got a positive picture from little Kendall Cochran on lane 23 to his right. She just made the 7-pin, so Jacob, just do what she did. Throws it nice and slow to let it hook, and boy, it needed to. He just got the 7-pin. Couldn't afford an open there. And now we're down to the final 2 frames, and Jacob better get busy, or this match is going to slip from his fingers. With Luke working on a double, Jacob has no room for error here. He has a possible 212. Luke is going at a 217 pace. There's a strike that Jacob desperately needed. That gives him a measure of hope. Here's his footwork, also a 5-step approach. Nice slide, little hop at the end. But that's okay, that was after the ball was gone. All right, Luke. Good shot, just didn't quite carry out the 10. But now what he wants to avoid is any opens the rest of the way. He wants to stay clean, and he should be okay. solid cover of the 10-pin. And that spare really puts Luke in the driver's seat heading into this final frame. He needs to fill 17 to shut out Jacob. Now remember, he's on a spare, so he's got to be careful with the count here on the first ball. But once again, he starts the 10th with a strike, and that makes his job easier. Because now that's 10 of the 17. The other 7, if he had spared, he might have needed 8 or 9 or a strike to fill 17. But now, with that strike to begin the 10th frame, he has 2 shots to get 7 pins. And 9 is more than enough. So Luke Gramling has just won match 3. And Jacob Smith's dream of signing the coveted trophy pin will have to wait another month. Luke covers the spare. That's a 216. And he gets an embrace from Jacob, who's a good sport, if nothing else. He's also a really good kid. Whenever we show up to film Prodigy, Jacob is one of the first people to meet us at the door to help bring the equipment into the bowling center. That's why you see his name in the show's closing credits as a production assistant. You see that first strike in the 10th. They always seem to come easier when they don't mean anything anymore. I've talked about this before. It's uncanny. Once the match is won or lost, those strikes just seem to come with ease. Well, it hardly matters now. The 4, 6, 7. He's going to have a little fun. He's going to move to the left side of the lane, try to slide the 6 over into the 4 and 7 like Antonio Miranda. Not going to happen. It's a 197. It won't measure up to Luke's 216, so Luke Gramling has won the first 3 matches, and he's going to bowl for the championship against our tournament leader, Liliana Gentlemark, when we return.
Now, from the Prodigy Bowlers Tour newsroom, with reports from across the universe, around the world, throughout the nation, and up your alley. This is Prodigy Striking News.
Here at the Prodigy Bowlers Tour news desk, we recently received word that Prodigy's all-time winningest player, Hunter Moffett of Roswell, Georgia, recently bowled his 3rd 800 series with games of 267, 269, and 267. Hunter not only posted an 803 series at Cherokee Lanes in Canton, Georgia, but also showed phenomenal consistency, missing out on a triplicate 267 by just 2 pins. Congratulations, H-Dog. Earlier today here in Gladstone, Missouri, our Division 5 winner from last month's KCO September Point Tournament in Olathe received his champion shirt and posed for this adorable photo out in the parking lot. All of us in Prodigy Land send our congratulations to Kanan Duncan on his win last month and look forward to the day when Kanan grows into the shirt. Finally, the action you're watching right now on Prodigy Bowlers Tour at the KCO October Point Tournament was recorded on October 6th. Meanwhile, about 200 miles southwest of here in Wichita, Kansas, several Prodigy kids and KCO regulars were in Wichita, Kansas to compete in the PBA Junior Southwest Regional Qualifier at North Rock Lanes. In the U15 division, Cooper Farmer, our Division I KCO winner last month in Olathe, and Bennett Van Dyke finished 13th and 14th, respectively. Among U18 girls, Fiona West made it to the bracketed finals, where she won her first match before being eliminated and finishing 5th. And over in U18 boys, Caden Ball, who won the adult youth doubles event in March, finished 30th. Caden Darling, who made a strong showing at the Prodigy TOC last June, finished 28th. Eli Clinklin finished 23rd, and Landon Ziegenhurt finished 15th. But the big story in Wichita was Caden White. Caden found himself in the lead following Saturday's opening 2 rounds. And then he finished qualifying as the tournament leader, earning a bye through the first round of the bracketed finals. Then Caden kept his winning streak alive, winning every match he bowled until the very last one, where Trey Henrichmeyer of Eau Claire, Wisconsin, and a bowler for Wichita State University doubled in the 10th to eke out a narrow win to claim the title. So Caden White finished a strong 2nd at the PBA Junior event in Wichita. Meanwhile, as the bracketed finals in Wichita were going on, qualifying was underway here at the KCO. A number of folks here at Gladstone Bowl gathered up around a cell phone and watched the live coverage of the PBA Junior, rooting Caden on. He has fans everywhere. And when he finally wrapped up his bid to win in Wichita and came up 2nd, he and Caden Ball both traveled back to Kansas City just in time for Caden White to receive his Player of the Year award from the Greater Kansas City USBC at their association's annual Hall of Fame banquet. On hand to provide an inspiring speech to the gathered throng at the event was PBA Tour Commissioner Tom Clark, seen here with Greater Kansas City USBC Association Manager Toby Contreras and his wife Sherwin. Following the presentation, Caden White and Caden Ball had an opportunity to visit with the commissioner, and I'm sure Tom Clark extended his congratulations to Caden on his awesome performance in Wichita earlier in the day. Finally, last weekend on October 13th, Prodigy kid Joe Anderson won the U12 division at the Youth Scratch Masters Tour event in Wichita. Joe, whose only appearance on Prodigy came in December 2022 when he and his grandfather Mike Anderson qualified for the stepladder finals at the KCO Adult Youth Doubles Tournament. Now, you may recall Joe's older brother, Mike Anderson II, sat in with me to provide color commentary on the show when we covered the KCO Invitational in 2023, 1 year after he won it on the very first Prodigy episode that originated from Kansas City. Way to bring home the victory, Joe. And congratulations to all these Prodigy kids, as they never cease to amaze. Now, let's get you back to the action in Gladstone and the championship match at the KCO October Point Tournament. As I suspected he might, Jacob Smith did, in fact, come out firing in that last match. He began with a double, but then 2 splits on the left lane in the 3rd and 5th frames when he left the 5-7 on a wall shot and the baby split. Both led to open frames, and from there, he was chasing from behind pretty much the rest of the way and never could string any strikes to put some pressure on Luke. And Luke? After missing a 10-pin in the first frame, Luke was clean the rest of the way, with a couple of timely doubles along the way to keep Jacob from getting any bright ideas about a comeback. So Luke Gramling has won 3 matches and now hopes to make it 4 as he's reached the championship match where he'll face our tournament leader, Liliana Gentlemark. By now, Luke is pretty familiar with winning at the KCO on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. Meanwhile, Liliana is looking for her first title. She'll never get a better opportunity than today as she sits in the catbird seat, needing to win just 1 match to claim the title. Liliana being the tournament leader in the higher qualifier, she had the option of whether to start the match or to let Luke start the match. She has decided she wants to lead off. That either means she wants to go last so she knows what she needs, or she's decided she likes the right lane and wants to finish over there. But whatever the reason, she's going to start the match right now. Well, it kind of looked like it slipped off her hand just a little bit at the very end. She didn't quite get the lift on it that I think she was intending. But an acceptable start in the pocket, leaves just the 7-pin. You see that she's going to be receiving 3 pins of handicap from Luke. Luke gets 11. Liliana gets 14. So a 3-pin handicap differential. Gotta love that straight swing, man. Straight back, straight through. I talk about it all the time. She's got it in spades. Luke with the 10-pin. He's been a little hit and miss on this spare throughout the day. But he gets it this time. So Luke and his family, who are on hand cheering him on, all breathe a sigh of relief. Another one right in the pocket, but again, the 10-pin just stubbornly stands and refuses to fall. Once again, he moves to the left side of the approach, goes cross lane at it. And once again, he lets it get away. So you see on the score sheet, he had a spare in the first, then 9 on his first ball in the second. That would give him 19 in the first, to which we added his 11 pins of handicap. That's how we arrived at 30, and then 9 more in the second for 39. Liliana with a 15-pin advantage as she steps up in the second frame, working on a spare. Oh my goodness. Well, she must be leading a charmed life. That one right through the nose. But down they go. The old Jersey squasher, I guess. Watch this. Right through the nose. The head pin goes back, gets the 9 and the 10. Oh, that's unusual. Wow. Well, she has a spare strike start. That would give her 20 in the first. We add her 14 pins of handicap in. That's how we get to 34. And so the handicap is all accounted for with both players now, so you don't have to keep track of it. And Liliana through the nose that time, leaves the 6-10. That could have been a split. The action to our left is Division 4. The action to our right is Division 5. There's little Kendall Cochran. You saw her on the Division 5 show last month. We'll recap their step ladders when we get to the end of the show. Liliana covers the 6'10", so she stays clean through 3 frames. Luke, with that open in the second, that's the difference in the match right now. That and the 3 pins of handicap differential. Once again, a 10-pin. And Luke's got to be wondering, what do I have to do to get that corner pin to go down? He's made one and he's missed one. Oh, that hung on by the narrowest of margins, but it's a spare, thank you very much. And now he will move back to lane 21, hoping for better success against the 10-pin. Well, the 10-pin would be the least of his worries, I would say, as this time he goes right through the nose and leaves a wide open split. The 3, 6, 7, 10. It can be made. Put the ball over on the right side of the 3-pin and send it over into the 7. Maybe. How about it? What a shot. That is definitely worth a second look. Luke going down the right side of the lane with his spare ball, and that is perfectly placed into the wall and off the wall into the 7. And that keeps him in the match. Liliana making the adjustment necessary to account for those high hits. Watch this one. This was like a truck going through the pins. Man, look at this position. Ball under her head. Look at how close it is to her ankle and how close her elbow is to her side. That's the way it's done, boys and girls. And that foot perpendicular to the foul line, my goodness, you can't do it any better than this. Great shot, Liliana. That looks like another good one. Hello. Well, Luke, I believe you've got your work cut out for you this match. Here's Liliana's footwork. Just rock solid. Over about 16 at the arrow. She swings it out to about 7. And look out. Okay, Luke. That'll let her know that you're not done yet. This was a really good shot by Luke. We could just get him to stay behind the ball a little bit longer. I think that'll come when he gets a little older, has a little more meat on his bones. But now a strike here in the 6th would be big. He could cut the lead to 19. He pulled it, but it's set in the pocket perfectly. And here's a side-by-side of these two young players. Both one-handers. Compare their hand positions at release. Luke with a little more ball speed. Liliana lets the ball do the work. Yeah, she missed left, but look at this. She trips the 6. Watch this. It's going to be the 3-pin that goes to the right wall, gets the 10, and the 10 gets the 6. That's a turkey. She can extend her lead to 39 with a strike here in the 7th. Wow. How about this girl? See what kind of reaction she had to this shot. She had to like it. Over about 17 at the arrows. He gets out to about 9 or 10. Flush. She knew it as soon as it left her hand. All right, Luke. You're going to have to make it a strike-a-palooza. Oh, dear. Trouble. The 4, 7, 9, 10, otherwise known as Grandma's Teeth. It can be made. It's not left all that often. Slide the 4 into the 9 and hope the 9 gets the 10. It's more makeable than the Greek church, which is the same spare, but add the 6. Ooh. He gave it a ride. But that is his second open frame, and, well, the scoreboard tells the story. He trails by 57 pins, stepping up in the 8th frame. And it's not looking good for Luke. See how he falls off balance? He does that on almost every shot. And I think if he would keep his shoulders back a little bit and keep his trail leg on the floor, his trail foot on the floor. See how he kicks it way up? That combined with him tipping his spine angle so far forward moves his center of gravity way out ahead of him. The brain knows not to step forward and fall forward past the foul line. So you fall off to the right, catch your balance. Just keep the shoulders back and the trail foot on the floor. Pretty good shot, just a pinch high. That breaks her string of strikes after 4. But she's got pins to burn here. 66-pin lead. Well, just because you have pins to burn doesn't mean you want to burn them. But she is still very much in command of this match. Liliana, who bowls league here at Gladstone, so this is a home game for her. She has that rare opportunity to put the match away in the 9th frame. She needs just 7 pins here in the 9th, and she will lock up the title. And I have to say, I like her chances. There you go. Liliana Gentlemark has won the Division III championship at the 2024 KCO October Point Tournament. Here's the shutout ball. And you can't throw it any better than this. 10 back. Well, Luke has had one heck of a ride today, winning 3 matches. And there you have another instance of the strikes coming surprisingly easy once the match has slipped away. Here it is again. It's a good shot by Luke. Falling off balance again. Love to work on that. But the result, you will never question that. Another one of those soft 8s that we've seen a couple of times. Doesn't really matter. Luke is going to finish in the 170s if he spares here, and I suspect he will. He won't miss many 8 pins. Well, Luke Gramling, who also runs cross-country track. In fact, he started running 5Ks when he was 3. Heck, I could barely tie my shoes when I was 3. His favorite pro bowler is Packy. We hear that a lot from the kids here in the Kansas City area. And he finishes with a bang. A big strike to close out the day, and he shoots a 176 and congratulates Liliana on her victory. This is the first time Luke has been on Prodigy Bowlers Tour where he didn't win. That's a pretty good record. Boy, I tell you what, if you're just starting out and you want to watch somebody's game to copy, rewind this show and watch Liliana Gentlemark. She has a style that will last a lifetime. Well, she chops the spare, but it doesn't matter. She's already won the game. 218 to 176 over Luke Gramling. Liliana Gentlemark has won the championship at the KCO, and now she'll sign the coveted trophy pin. Well, Luke Gramling enjoyed quite a run today, winning the first 3 matches, but his bid for another KCO title came up a little short, as Liliana Gentlemark was on fire. And even though she had 2 open frames in the 8th and 10th, she'd already done most of the damage with a 4-bagger in the middle of the match and 6 strikes overall. So it's a strong second place showing for Luke today, but bragging rights in Division 3 this month goes to Liliana Gentlemark, who earned her way to the winner's circle. It's time you finally get to meet our winner. Oh, we have a newcomer to the winner's circle on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. It's Liliana Gentlemark. And you beat a tough opponent, man.
Yeah.
Luke was tearing it up today. And you stopped his march to the top. How did you do it?
I don't know, I just didn't get in my head, and I just threw the ball.
For those outside the Kansas City area who don't know, you're a regular at the KCO. You bowl this thing almost every month.
Yeah.
And you make your share of step ladders. But only one time on Prodigy, and this time it made it all the way to the top. That's pretty awesome. How are you feeling right now?
Excited,
Yeah?
proud of myself.
When's the last time you won one of these?
Never.
Never.
Yeah.
So this is your first time. That's awesome. So your first time not only winning a KCO, but you did it on Prodigy, so the whole world will see it. And did you know that there'd be thousands of people watching? Were you nervous?
Yes.
You were?
Yes.
You were nervous because you were bowling for a title, though. Yeah. Well, so here's the deal. Because you won, you get to sign the coveted trophy pin. Put your name and today's date on it.
Anywhere?
Anywhere you want. Everybody will be looking for your signature on the pin now. And what this means is you're eligible to bowl in the season-ending Prodigy Bowlers Tour Tournament of Champions. If you had won in any division, whether you were on Prodigy or not, you would have been eligible for that. But the winner of that tournament will not only win a little scholarship prize, but they will also win the coveted trophy pin with all the signatures on it from this season.
So there she is, ladies and gentlemen. A new winner on Prodigy, Liliana Gentlemark, and I've been mispronouncing your name now for 2 years, and I'll never make that mistake again. You bowled great today. Congratulations.
As I mentioned earlier, the players bowling in the periphery to our left on lanes 19 and 20 were Division 4, and here's how their stepladder played out. In the opening match, the 4-seed, Annalise Keeler, defeated the 5-seed, Dylan Johnson, 184 to 146. Then Anna kept her winning ways going, edging Garrett Ogle, 151 to 148. But then Anna ran into Logan Crosswhite, who stopped her march to the top. It was Logan Crosswhite, 187, Annalise Keeler, 150. And in the championship match, the tournament leader fended off the challenge from Logan as Cayman Clare took the title 188 to 172 over Logan Crosswhite. So, congratulations to Cayman Clare. Then, as I mentioned earlier, the bowlers in the periphery to our right on lanes 23 and 24 were the Division 5 group. Here's how their stepladder played out. In match 1, Scarlett Ellsworth, the 4-seed, defeated the 5-seed, Johnny Futrell, 165 to 155. Then in match 2, Kendall Cochran, who you saw on our Division 5 show last month, defeated Scarlett Ellsworth in a close one, 164 to 162. Then Kendall Cochran kept it going, beating Connor Boob 186 to 167. And that set up the title match between Kendall Cochran and our tournament leader, Kaylin Parkhurst. It came down to the very last ball when Kendall filled just enough to claim a 1-pin victory and the title in Division 5. So congratulations to Kendall Cochran for winning 3 matches to be named a champion. Of course, all the kids who win their division's title, whether their division was featured on Prodigy or they were just bowling in the periphery, all qualify for the Prodigy Tournament of Champions at the end of the season. On our next edition of Prodigy Bowlers Tour, we'll bring you the exciting championship round in Division 1 at this very same October point tournament at Gladstone Bowl. Look for that show to drop next week. If you'd like to bowl in an upcoming Kansas City Open and maybe qualify to compete on Prodigy Bowlers Tour, visit the KCO's website at www.kansascityopen.com. There you'll find everything you need to know about the tournament, and you can download entry forms and rules. Once again, it's www.kansascityopen.com. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a thumbs up. Be sure to smash the subscribe button and ring the notification bell to receive notifications whenever we post new content. And by all means, leave a comment down below. We just ask that you not post a spoiler giving away the ending. All these things help us grow the channel. If you'd like to support the work that goes into producing Prodigy Bowlers Tour, become a Prodigy patron. For just $5 a month, you'll get early access to all our full-length episodes of Prodigy before the rest of the world sees it. And for just $10 a month, you not only get early access, but you also get your name in the show's closing credits as an executive producer, just like the bigwigs in Hollywood. Go to www.patreon.com/Prodigy Bowlers Tour and follow the instructions to become a patron. To keep up with all things Prodigy, join the Prodigy Facebook group. From any page on Facebook, type Prodigy Bowlers Tour into the search bar and hit enter. That'll take you to the page where you can submit a request to join the group. But remember, you gotta answer the 3 screening questions if you want your request to be approved. So that's a wrap for this edition of Prodigy. Be on the lookout for episode 176, the Division 1 show from Gladstone, dropping next week. But for now, this is Coach Randy reminding you to stay behind the foul line and keep kicking out the corner pins, not the foul lights and ball returns. I'll talk to you again next time on Prodigy Bowlers Tour. Now, Go get your bowl on.